Watch this. A dwarf mongoose rips a scorpion out of the dirt, and before it can even swallow, a hornbill lunges in and snatches half of it right out of its face. This isn't a fight, it's teamwork. These two animals hunt together every single day, the smallest carnivore in Africa, and a bird with a beak bigger than its own head. And together they tear through the insects hiding under this ground. Stay with it, because the way this bird gets the mongooses to work for it in the first place is stranger than anything you'd expect. Look at the ground erupting. The dwarf mongooses are digging like machines, front claws throwing back sprays of soil, snouts jammed into every hole and crack. They flip stones, tear into rotten wood, rake through the leaf litter, and everything hiding under their panics. Beetles, spiders, crickets, scorpions, termites, all of it comes bolting out of the dark. That's the whole plan. The mongooses aren't just feeding themselves, they're flushing prey into the open, driving it straight up out of the ground, and that's where the hornbills cash in. Perched just above, a yellow-billed hornbill drops the second an insect breaks cover. It stabs down with that huge curved beak, pins a fleeing cricket against the ground, and tosses it back into its throat in one smooth motion. Then another, then another. The bird barely has to hunt at all, and it just parks itself over the digging and grabs whatever runs. Every stone a mongoose flips, every clump of soil it throws is a free meal delivered straight to the bird's feet. This is the engine of the whole partnership. One side stirs up the prey, the other side collects it. Here's a scorpion making a break for it, tail arched, stinger ready. A mongoose is faster. It darts in, grabs the scorpion just behind the head, and starts crunching through the armor before the tail can land a hit. And even if it does get stung, it barely matters. Dwarf mongooses can shrug off scorpion venom that would kill an animal 10 times their size. But this scorpion is big, and it's slow going, and a hornbill sees its opening. The bird rushes in, clamps the other end, and the two of them pull the scorpion apart between them. Neither one shares because it's generous. They split it because that's faster than fighting over it. Watch the beak work now. The hornbill grabs a fat white grub, but it doesn't just gulp it down, it beats it against a branch, bashing it again and again to kill it and soften the shell, then flips it end over end in the tip of its beak until it slides down the throat perfectly. That beak looks clumsy and oversized, but it's precise enough to pick a single ant off a blade of grass. The hornbill needs that precision because it can't swallow anything sideways. Everything has to be tossed, caught, and lined up just right. And it eats constantly. Beetles, caterpillars, spiders, small lizards, anything the mongooses kick loose. On one good morning of digging, a single hornbill can swallow dozens of insects it never had to find on its own. The mongooses keep tearing the ground apart, and the variety of what comes out is incredible. One drags a centipede out of a crack, like a long, twisting, armored thing, coated in venom that fights back the entire way, and pins it flat with both front paws while it bites through the body in sections. Another cracks open a beetle the size of a thumb, the shell splitting with an audible pop. A third is buried up to its shoulders in a hole, tail whipping in the air, kicking out a steady stream of dirt, roots, and grubs. They eat almost anything they can overpower. Insects, spiders, scorpions, small snakes, birds' eggs, even the occasional lizard. The whole group moves as one churning line across the ground, and the birds ride the chaos at the edges, snapping up every escapee. For almost the entire morning, this is what it looks like. Dig, flush, grab, crunch, swallow, move a few feet, and do it all again. The mongoose group can cover a huge stretch of ground this way, stripping it of anything edible while a rotating crew of hornbills follows overhead like it's payday. A big family can have as many as 30 dwarf mongooses in it, all working the same patch at once. 30 little diggers churning up the earth, and the birds simply cannot lose. Everywhere a mongoose sticks its nose, something tries to run, and something with a beak is waiting. Look closely at how organized it actually is. The mongooses don't wander randomly. The group moves together, keeping loose contact with soft chirps and calls, and there's almost always at least one animal not digging, one standing up on its hind legs scanning. Because for all the feasting, this is a dangerous way to make a living. A dwarf mongoose is barely bigger than a squirrel, only 7 to 11 inches long, and to almost every predator on the savanna, it looks like a snack. Heads down in the dirt, they're vulnerable. And that vulnerability is exactly why the bird is worth so much to them. Now here's the part nobody expects. This bird doesn't just show up once the mongooses are already out hunting. It comes to their den before sunrise, while they're still asleep inside an old termite mound, and it waits. It sits in the branches above the mound in the cold early light, doing nothing, just watching the entrance. And if the mongooses sleep in, the hornbill starts calling. Loud, insistent, right over the entrance. Over and over, until the groggy mongooses finally drag themselves out into the morning. Scientists actually have a name for this behavior. Waking. The bird literally sets an alarm clock for its own hunting partners because a mongoose still in bed means no breakfast for the bird. And the mongooses put up with the nagging because the hornbill pays them back in the most valuable currency out here. Warning. The single biggest threat to a dwarf mongoose is the pale chanting goshawk, a hawk that hunts them relentlessly and can drop out of the sky almost silently. When your face is buried in a hole and dirt is flying, you never see it coming. But the hornbill does. It's watching from up high the entire time the mongooses have their heads down, and the second it spots a raptor, it screams a specific alarm call. The whole mongoose group hears it and detonates. Every animal sprinting for the nearest cover, disappearing into holes and under rocks before the hawk even finishes its dive. And it gets smarter than just shouting when scared. The hornbills give the alarm even for hawks that don't hunt birds at all. Raptors that are only a danger to the mongooses, not to the hornbill itself. Think about what that means. The bird is raising the alarm for a threat that can't hurt it, purely to protect the mongooses. It's not being kind. It's protecting the workforce that digs up its food. A dead mongoose group is a bird with no breakfast tomorrow, so the hornbill guards them like an investment. The mongooses know a good deal when they get one, and they adjust their whole routine around it. When enough birds are tagging along, fewer mongooses bother standing guard. They let the birds handle the lookout and put more diggers on the ground. They even cut down on their own alarm calls when the hornbills are present, effectively handing their security over to the birds. And it works both ways. The more mongooses there are in a group, the more hornbills show up to join them. Because more diggers means more flushed prey, and the birds do the math. Watch the hunt roll on and you can see the whole system working. A mongoose flushes a cluster of termites and 3 birds pounce at once. A lookout freezes mid-chew, staring at the sky, and for a moment, everything holds still. Then it relaxes, and the digging resumes. A young mongoose fumbles a beetle and a hornbill steals it clean. One digs out a nest of grubs and the whole squad piles in. Birds and mongooses crowding the same hole. It's noisy, fast, and constant, and it almost never breaks down, because every animal here is getting exactly what it came for. By the time the sun climbs high and the heat sets in, the ground has been picked clean, and the bellies are full. The mongooses start drifting back toward the shade of their mound, and the hornbills peel off to rest and digest their stolen breakfast. Nobody says goodbye. There's no loyalty in it, no friendship. Tomorrow, it resets completely. Tomorrow, the birds will be back in the branches before dawn, waiting over the entrance in the cold. And if the mongooses sleep in, the calling will start again, loud and insistent, until Africa's smallest hunters roll out of bed to run the whole operation one more time, flushing the prey, feeding the birds, and trusting a nagging alarm clock with feathers to keep them alive while they do it.